This lecture, we're going to be covering, and I'm going to butcher this because despite my best attempts, Scandinavian and Scandinavian style languages trip me up quite a bit. This is the Ymir. The BWPX1 has something in common with the battle axe we have covered previously. Anybody want to take a guess as to what that is?
They became outdated very quickly.
Okay, two things. They have two things in
Uh,
common.
fuck. Is it their roles?
Nope. What it is, where the battle axe was the Federated Sun's first domestically produced battle mech, the Ymir is the first Lyran Commonwealth domestically produced mech.
I see. This is another one made independently.
Yep. In 2462, the Lyran Commonwealth caught up to the Terran hegemony and the Federated Suns. Where it only took the Federated Suns 20 years, it took the Lyran Commonwealth, let's see, 2439,
One eternity later.
20, 23 years. Sorry, I am bad at math sometimes. It took the Lyran Commonwealth 23 years to catch up to the Federated Suns and the Terran hegemony. The BWPX1 here, it's like all of the other stuff that we've covered so far. Primitive, 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 primitive. Primitive engine, primitive gyro, primitive cockpit, primitive armor. Quick history for this particular thing. The reason it's called the BWPX1 is because the Lyrans dubbed it the Bipedal Weapons Platform Experimental Model 1.
I see.
Nickname,
Rolls off the tongue.
yeah, they nicknamed it the Ymir, which, if you know Norse mythology, frost giants of Scandinavian lore, um, it was developed by a company called Coventry Defense Conglomerate. They took the Mackie, dropped 10 tons, and began modifying it for that sleek design that you see on that record sheet. This did provide it with greater stability and a higher ability to maneuver.
Oh, I thought the cockpit looked familiar.
Now, they also decided to try to further differentiate the Ymir from the Mackie. Um, they did try to give it a more angled appearance, and they did try distributing the weapons loadout more evenly across the mech. They set it up to try and be able to switch between long range and short range. This this lets the pilot very easily split between I'm firing the long range guns, I'm firing the short range guns. I'm firing the long range guns, I'm firing the short range guns. Rather than, all right, disable this, enable that, disable this, keep this enabled, keep that enabled. No, just long or short. On paper, this made the mech a capable machine. Problem is, it's not going to be any faster than the Mackie, and all of the early heat dissipation systems, it's going to run hot here. Now, Lyran High Command decided not to buy the BWPX1. They decided to stick with the Mackies that they had, but they did provide enough financial support to let CDC build several Ymir models as prototype test beds, which let them continue development work. They struggled until the more advanced components became available on the market that we're going to see. That let them boost up the speed of the mech, let them protect it with 10.5 tons of armor. We'll cover the upgrade versions that they eventually produced. All of those particular models stayed into production into the Star League era, only halting in 2648. During the Blakist era, similar to the Succession War, where if any mech you had was just as good as literally any other mech, during the Blakist era, the demand for war material is what caused a lot of these older designs to suddenly see a resurgence. During the Blakist era, the Osaka Heavy Metrics and who was a Draconis combined industrial mech manufacturer, started converting a lot of their existing lines to producing Emirs. Once the Blakist era was done and over with, you see these mechs start to disappear because you have much better options available to you on the domestic market and the broader galactic market. So why continue to produce these older models?
Are these old models still seen at all? Or are they just completely gone?
Most of them are completely gone.
Well, the
So
power of 3D editing, you too can 3D print these models again.
yeah.
Well, I'm really just talking about in universe.
Yeah. No, yeah. So we'll cover them here in a second. But yeah. So to start with, the X1 is classed as a missile boat. It is an assault mech, but it is a primitive assault mech. 16 single heat sinks, 2 LRM-5s in the right torso, 4 SRM-2s in the left torso, large laser in the right arm, and an AC-5 in the left arm, with a pair of vehicle flamers. It's also got an absolutely absurd amount of internal support points. So even if you do manage to get through the 166 armor factor armor pips of primitive armor, you are still going to have to do quite a bit of damage to get this thing to start shutting down.
It's like a Nokia phone.
Yep. The X1 very quickly goes away and gets replaced by the 2B. Now, the X1 had a movement profile of 350. The 2B has a movement profile of 460. Still classed as a missile boat, still 90 tons. However, this is where we see the primitive technology goes away. New technology comes out to play. Full gyro, full fusion engine, full cockpit, full armor, which we have gone from 166 to 168 armor factor of CDC Combat Alloy 4X. Still the 2 LRM-5s in the right torso, the 4 SRM-2s in the left torso, the large laser in the right arm, and the AC-5 in the left arm. But now the AC-5 is joined by an anti-pigeon laser.
Hmm.
Got a little guy on there.
Yep. Now, this mech is both this one and the X1 are not terrible. The large laser is only going to produce 8 heat, and the LRM-5s are only going to produce a further 4 for a grand total of 12 heat. With the autocannon, that's going to put you at 13, well below heatsink capacity, meaning that the BWP-2B is able to maneuver at top speed and fire its weapons loadout without overheating. Once it moves into closer range and you have to drop the LRM-5s and the AC-5 in favor of the 4 SRM-2s, the large laser and the small laser, you're still only going to be doing 10 heat plus the 2 or 3 that you will do from maneuvering this mech at its max 64k an hour. This mech runs very cool, does not really have issues overheating unless it starts taking pretty significant damage. This, in my opinion, is a solid mech design.
A look at things to come, if you will.
Yeah,
In the far, far future.
this mech is solid. Now, here's the 2E. 2E is the other upgrade package that CDC produced for the Lyran Commonwealth. This one, slightly more impressive. This one is no longer a missile boat. This is a sniper. Still has that movement profile of 460. Still 16 double heat or 16 single heat sinks. Still the insane internal protection. And we have now gone from 168 to 176 armor.
Where'd that extra armor come from? Did they just pull shit out?
Pretty much. So what you'll notice is if we jump back to the 2B, our weapon loadout, 2 LRM5, 4 SRM2, large laser AC5, small laser. The 2E, you will see 1 LRM10, 1 SRM6, 1 PPC, and PPC. A lot of the weapon loadout has been cut out and simplified. This allowed for the 2E to be outfitted with an extra half ton of armor, which is why we see this armor jump. Now, all things considered, the 2E is rough. The single LRM-10 is not a big issue. The single SRM-6 is not an issue. One PPC is not really an issue. It's the twin PPCs that always cause the problems with these early mechs. The PPCs just put out too much heat when fired. You are going to have to keep one of the PPCs shut down to prevent the mech from overheating. Because if you try to alpha strike with this, you're going to go from okay to dropping from 460 back to the X1's 350, as well as your shots going wide more often because of the simple fact that your systems are overheating. My opinion, the 2B is a better version of the Ymir than the 2E. The 2E is scary. I'm not going to lie. 20 damage from about halfway across a map.
Pretty good.
Yeah, with a potentially 30 points of damage if all of those LRMs lock on. You're looking at potentially 30 points of damage from across the map. That is scary, but you're then going to have to let the mech sit and do nothing for a turn to cool off so that you can do that again. Alpha striking
That seems
with
like you'll be gambling.
Yeah, alpha striking with this mech is not advised. Now, the last one that we're going to cover, this is the version that got produced. 1 second here. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, this is a Star League version. This is a Star League era version. However, this one was produced in 2733 using the actual Terran hegemony technology. So this one sees a massive upgrade in the technology available to it, because you'll notice the heat sinks are replaced by double heat sinks. So we've now got 32 cooling capacity. This is the model, and you'll see this quite a bit. This is the model where, honestly, this is the one where the two PPCs make sense, because you've got 32 cooling capacity, right? We go back to the 2E for a brief second. At max range, you're going to be producing 24 heat. That's 8 heat more than what the 2E can handle. Meanwhile, with the 3A, you're well below the max that the Ymir can cool, or the 3A can cool off. But instead, you see a pair of large lasers. You see an SRM-6 with an Artemis 4 fire control system, an LRM-10 with Artemis 4, and a medium laser. Now, the PPCs do take up quite a bit of room, which you can't really incorporate the Artemis 4 and the PPCs, which is why the large lasers are there. But even after removing the PPCs, installing the Artemis 4 and the double heat sinks, and replacing the PPCs with the large lasers, they still had enough room in the system or in the chassis to install this additional medium laser, as well as further upgrade the armor capacity. So now we're sitting at 192 armor value.
Sacrifices had to be made.
Sacrifices did indeed have to be made. Now, for the time period, I do believe this is the first instance we have seen of a brawler mech in the Star League era.
So, like anything close to a melee mech is what you mean.
Yes. Essentially, so what the brawler's job is to close with the enemy and um just harass them. Where scout mechs where scout mech's job is to go out, find the enemy, harass them a little bit, but just keep an eye on where the enemy is. The brawler is what you send in after the scout mechs to just harass the enemy and keep them locked down in one specific location while your missile boats get a target lock and start raining fire on the enemy.
So, you say this is the first instance of a brawler mech. No one had ever thought about doing that beforehand?
No, for the most part, what we have seen is we've seen juggernauts, we've seen missile boats, and we have seen snipers. This is the first instance, I believe, of a brawler. This particular mech was designed to go in. Now, obviously, you want your brawler to be able to go in and either survive hits, or you want a juggernaut alongside the brawler to go in and pull attention, so the juggernaut is tanking the damage while the brawler dishes it out. This 460 movement profile is actually relatively fast for an assault.
Surprised they didn't put any jump packs on it. Jump jets on it.
I always forget to do this, so we're going to do this now. The X1 here does suffer from a couple design quirks. So by 2480, it is obsolete. So if you're playing a game, or if you're running a situation prior to 2480, it's not going to be obsolete. After 2480, it is. It also has poor cooling jacket, large laser, and poor cooling jacket flamers. But it does have stable. Now the 2E, the 2B, and the 3A drop those other ones and just have stable. With that, have a great rest of your day, and class dismissed.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.